Welcome back to Where's My Sports At? On today's podcast, Jimmy and I welcome back a lady with the cannon arm, quarterback for the flag football national champions women team, and quarterback for the Australian women's flag football team, Casey Cubis. Casey, it's great to see you again. How have you been?
Oh, thank you so much for having me again, guys. Obviously, super excited to talk to you guys again. I would also like to say that the Canon nickname has actually taken off a little bit. So there's a few people sort of calling me that out there now. So not quite sure how well it sits with me, but I thought you'd be pleased to know
Oh,
that,
thank you.
Craig.
There we go. I want credit for that one. Cheers. So we want to get us underway talking about the Flag Nationals, which happened just recently, and talk about how your team went in that, and talk about some of the games. So, Jimmy, do you want to kick us off with any questions?
All right, so I've got a few questions, Casey. But firstly, I'm going to throw a challenge to you to see how far you can throw a vortex mega howler. So if you can find one of
Oh,
those,
okay.
all right, I'll take you on in the cannon challenge, and I think there we can grow something from that. So film yourself throwing it like on a footy field. We'll see how far you can go, and then I'll try it and see if I can match it. I'll probably go under it,
Yep.
but
All right.
so
I'm up for that challenge. Absolutely.
yes.
Um, just sort of on that was actually we recently had our camp in the AIS, and we actually got to measure our throwing velocity. So obviously seeing how fast we can throw the ball as quarterbacks, which is something that I've never had the equipment or the skills to kind of do. Um, so just for a bit of perspective for you guys, I think it was at 70.3 kilometers an hour. So
Nice. I was actually going to ask you that. I have it down on as one of my questions of how fast you can throw it.
He's been dying
Um,
to ask you this question. We've been talking about it for weeks.
yeah, so I'm a
yeah,
cricketer from
yeah.
way back, so I'm all about all the speed, the stats, and how you throw it as well. Well, firstly, like the latest national tournament that you're a part of, Casey. So talk us through that. Like you've gone through, played the round robin play, went through, and how'd you go in the end?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously firstly it was super exciting for us. It was the first ever flag nationals. We had a bit of an invitational tournament last year, which was obviously great to kind of kick things off. But this was the first, I guess, true national championships, which was just amazing to see. Men's and women's teams from basically every state and territory from Australia, which was really exciting. So yeah, I was the quarterback for the Queensland Sun Devils women's team. We managed to go through the tournament undefeated, which was really good. There was definitely a lot of pressure on us coming into the tournament. We have a pretty strong reputation as being strong performers, and yeah, obviously managed to go through undefeated and beat New South Wales in the final, which is nice. We have a bit of a rivalry, obviously, with our friends from down south. So yeah, nice to get that one over the top of them.
Well, James is a New South Wales supporter in rugby league.
It's all right. We won't
Yeah.
hold it against you
We'll
too
Yeah.
just
much.
give him a hard time.
So going through the tournament there, Casey, you've had the team's been together for a while, or how long have they been together? It's going through.
So the Sun Devils, yeah, the tournament last year in July was probably the first time that we'd played together as a team. Obviously, a lot of the girls play in social competitions here together. We're not all in the same team, but there's a couple that kind of suit up in the same team. So yeah, we've kind of obviously been training together as a team, since that time, and for a few different tournaments. So um, yeah, there's a lot of us that have been playing football together, whether that's contact or flag, for quite a while. So obviously, we get to know each other pretty well, and what our tendencies are, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Who was your greatest challenge in the nationals?
We actually had some really close games with Western Australia. Well, we had one close game with them on the second day. I think it was just decided by a couple of points. And then obviously, the championship game, I think we beat New South Wales by 5 points, which was obviously far too close for my liking. But, at the end of the day, we got there.
Wicked. I wanted to ask a bit of structural questions about the game. So we sort of touched on a few things last time, but we know a little bit more now. Are the rules that you played in the Flag Nationals the same you play internationally?
I believe so. There may be a few little differences here and there, but I mean, in all honesty, I'm still learning the rules of the game. We're even our, obviously our coaching staff are still, working out some of the like little finer intricacies of the game. So, yeah, I think there might be a few differences. I'm not quite sure what they are, but for the most part, it's pretty standard across the board.
So it's a 5-on-5 game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And for me, selfishly, I love it because it's quite offensive focused. Basically, you've just got to score every single drive, and then you obviously, hope that your defense kind of makes a stop for you, which then obviously, I guess, releases that pressure valve a little bit.
Now, I did have one key question with watching the video: the gloves. Why does everyone wear
Yep.
gloves?
It just makes catching that little bit easier for our receivers. They can be quite sticky, so that ball just sticks to it. And from my own personal experience, it just takes a little bit of sting out of the ball as well. Often that ball's coming in pretty quick, so you can imagine that sort of hitting your hands time after time. Yeah, it kind of just takes a little bit of the sting out of it, as well as obviously helping just with that catching.
So do players generally play both offense and defense in flag?
Not usually at the representative level. We will sort of have a standard offense and defense. Obviously, there's hybrid players that will play both, depending on need. But certainly in local social competitions, you're pretty much just playing the whole game both ways. Obviously, depending on team numbers, but yeah, more at that representative level. More so specialised with a few key players that will go both sides of the ball.
Now, you describe yourself as a pocket quarterback, but a Tom Brady-esque.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably where my comfort is. I'm definitely not known for my footwork or my speed, more so my arm strength, I guess, which, yeah, for me, and obviously feedback, from coaches and obviously just self-assessment. Yeah, definitely, yeah, sort of footwork and agility is something that, that I'm always working on and trying to improve.
And that's all right. Pocket quarterbacks have won the NFL plenty of times, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So from watching the video, like I've seen some of your video for contact and for flag, do you play the quarterback role? How differently do you play them between the two?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of similarities, but very different as well. Like I think in flag we have probably not even 3 seconds to make a decision and get rid of the ball, unless we obviously evade and sort of prolong the play. So when you think about that, it's not a lot of time to read a defense and try and go through your progressions and sort of make the right read. Obviously, whereas contact, you've hopefully got that O line that's looking after you and protecting you a bit, giving you that little bit more time. So, yeah, very very different. But yeah, just sort of got to be on the ball and just making decisions pretty quickly.
And you find the step up going from club or playing offense and defense at club level to national competitions, then going into international, which you've got coming up, and you'll preview with us in a minute. Do you find there that the speed increases with each level?
Oh, absolutely. And I think even obviously from nationals, we had some games that we put on some pretty good, big scores and all of that sort of stuff, and there were obviously some games that were quite close. But then even so we were at the AIS for the Australian camp a couple of weeks ago, and even obviously that's girls that played in the nationals that were invited to that camp. And even just, I guess that was the top 24 women in the country. Even just putting us together for that, the step up from nationals, to that Australian squad was just, yeah, incredible. Yeah, amazing.
What stood out the most? In the step up, what did you notice most starkly?
I think for me, definitely like the speed of the blitzer every time. They're just coming at you so fast and really not giving you, any time to kind of make a decision. But then also, I guess those defensive players, they're all the best in the country. So, their coverage on my receivers is obviously, first class as well. So, having to make sure I really put that ball, in that window where it needs to be. Like you're not going to get as many, cheap shots,
Mm.
as you might, at nationals. So, yeah, it was a very interesting couple of days of competition at the camp. But yeah, and obviously, it's, going to be a step up going forward on the international stage as well.
And do you train to put yourself under more pressure?
Yeah, definitely little tips and tricks, that we do, and definitely, working on evasion and, like I sort of said earlier, yeah, trying to prolong that play for me. So I don't just have that 3 seconds, I've got an extra couple, to sort of add to that. So, yeah.
So you're talking about your defensive people, being that it's not contact sport. How do they actually defend?
Yeah, I think it's one of those tough ones. There's obviously some plays that you, I guess, almost have to, I guess, let your opponent, um, you know, catch that ball and then be there to make the tag or the tackle. We still call it a tackle, by pulling the flag. So, yeah, there's definitely, and obviously, for some of our girls, it's hard to get yourself out of that mindset of, especially a lot of our girls coming from contact football. That they have to, I guess, make those allowances, for that.
So would they just sort of like, if I was the defender and you were the person coming through and the quarterback's behind me, would I just be moving around like this, trying to? Can you put your hands out? What can you do? Is it sort of like netball a bit,
Yeah, so
or?
yeah, you can't kind of like put your like arms through and like contact a player like coming through. So yeah, there's again, like I said, I'm still learning the rules of this game. Even though, obviously sort of playing at that representative level. So, obviously there's always different interpretations of it, but yeah, definitely like yeah, definitely think like coming through the player and the ball. Obviously, you're not allowed to do as a defender. So yeah, just trying to work through that. And, as frustrating as it must be for a defensive player, yeah, you do have to do that sometimes.
And how do you find like building chemistry of new wide receivers coming in, Casey? Have you found that some have come through with you through the rep program into the Australian team, or have you had to build chemistry of new receivers and learn their plays and the way they run?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, there's a few. Obviously, our Queensland girls have played together for quite a while now, so we have, often it's unspoken. It's a little, dart with the eyes, or I know you're going to be here, or I know you're going to turn this route into this, route, or something like that. So definitely for me, and like I feel like I have a very good chemistry with my Queensland receivers. And then obviously going into the camp at the AIS was super challenging. Just having a few girls that I've not thrown to before, not knowing their speed or where they're going to be or their tendencies and stuff like that. So for me personally, that was a massive challenge. Obviously to try and overcome that. But yeah, really looking forward to obviously the next couple of camps that we've got before we head overseas, just to try and build that with a few of those girls that I haven't actually played with before.
And did anyone surprise you at the camp?
I mean, I kind of had a pretty good idea, sort of what everyone was like. Obviously, we were very lucky at nationals that we had access to game film from all of the games, not just sort of on the championship field. So it gave us obviously an opportunity to scout and sort of have a look at, what we might be coming up against, what we might expect. So I kind of had a bit of an idea, but yeah, until you actually get out on that field and throw a football. Some of the girls have obviously never received a ball from me, so I throw quite differently to other quarterbacks that they might have played with. So yeah, just them trying to get used to me and vice versa.
So where was the camp? You said it's at the Australian Institute of Sport. Is that in Canberra?
Yeah, it was, which was absolutely incredible. Firstly, very cold. We've got another camp in a couple of weeks, which obviously it's going to be even colder, and then one I think before we go, possibly in August. It was honestly, it was very surreal. I think for me personally, just down to the facilities, the testing that they had available to us, in terms of like we were doing speed, agility, the pools, even our rooms, I guess just being there and just thinking, well, I wonder who else has, stayed in this room. There's been some, you know, incredible athletes obviously come through that facility. So, yeah, just being down there and just sort of just immersing yourself in the whole experience and just, I guess, not taking anything for granted.
That's pretty amazing. It sounds like some actually resources and money's been allocated to the sport because you're going down to the AIS, which is pretty awesome. And from talking to you previously, it didn't seem like that level of resources was being put into the sport yet.
Yeah, there's definitely been a big step up in terms of funding and resourcing, I think, with the announcement that the sport's being included in the Olympics in 2028, which is obviously really exciting and probably something that I didn't think in my playing career that I would possibly get to experience. So for me, very special. There's a long way to go in terms of support, funding, coverage. Particularly obviously for women in sport. But yeah, definitely just exciting to see the resourcing, even down to our coaching staff. They put together a really great program for us over the whole weekend. Some mental skills workshops and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, just really exciting to I guess see the steps forward that's happening.
That's next level, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I didn't quite think that I'd ever get to experience that in my playing career. So, I'm just happy to be there and just trying to soak it all in.
Awesome.
So far, have they done any sponsorship out there, or is sponsorship still on the horizon for you for the team?
I obviously they'll be seeking sponsorship. I'm not quite sure what Gridiron Australia's directive is with that. But obviously, yeah, hopefully, even personal sponsorship. I'd obviously be looking at for myself. Obviously, these things don't come cheap. Yeah, to represent your country, it'll probably come at a cost of about $6,000 to $7,000, for sort of a week-long tournament, which it's obviously a lot of money, but you just have to make sacrifices in other areas of your life, and hope that you might sort of find some level of sponsorship.
Yeah. So for any sponsors out there, if you are wanting to reach out to Casey, we'll put a link in the comments here, and do make sure that you approach her, and make sure it's a good sponsorship though. Like not something there that's, well, any sponsorship's good sponsorship really, as long as it's got some good publicity. So make sure that you reach out.
And I think I'm very blessed. I live obviously in a bit of more of a regional part of Queensland. I'm on the Sunshine Coast, so not sort of in that big city. So I'm very lucky. We have our local council has grants that I can apply for. Even down to media coverage has been really good. After nationals, I just sent out an email to all of our local media, TV, newspaper, all of that sort of stuff. I figure if I don't do it, probably no one else will. People won't know about it. So managed to get some really good coverage off that. The local news station came down and did a news article, and then I was in the paper and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, everything like that I guess helps just to try and spread the word, and hopefully it resonates with someone, and they look into it, and yeah.
And for someone who has previously confessed to being shy of doing media, look at you. You go, girl.
Yeah, trying to get better at all of that sort of stuff. It's definitely not my favorite thing to do. I'd just rather get out there and play football. But trying to get comfortable in being uncomfortable kind of thing. And I've been very lucky in my life with my friends and family who have supported me financially and helped out. So I would ideally like to get some sort of corporate level sponsorship, just to, like I know my friends and family would again be willing to, um, dig into their own pockets, but, hopefully, yeah, maybe some sort of corporate level sponsorship, I guess, would be my preferred option.
So, with the testing in the Australian Institute of Sport, Casey, what was your favourite and most surprising test that you did there?
I mean, for me, like I alluded to before, definitely testing my throwing velocity was just for a curiosity, kind of thing. Of it, and like I said earlier, I'm not known for my speed or agility, so obviously that sort of stuff wasn't my favorite thing to do. I mean, it's obviously all benchmark stuff, so it's good to see where you are. Obviously, I was kind of where I thought I would be, which is fine. Obviously, yeah, just being able to work towards hopefully improving those times and getting better at all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, there was, we did sit and reach tests, we did grip strength, we did all of that. So yeah, it was
How
awesome.
cool, how cool. Now, you mentioned the coaching staff as well, and that's something I wanted to ask you. So, at that next level up, you wouldn't just have a coach, you'd have all sorts of positional coaches, and you may also have offensive coach, defensive coach sort of thing. Do you have that sort of thing with the international?
So with the Australian team, we have a head coach who's also our offensive coordinator, and then we have a defensive coordinator as well. They've also brought on a high performance manager, as well as a strength and conditioning coach as well. So obviously, just having more access to people who are experts in their field is obviously great. At this stage, we don't sort of have any positional coaches, but definitely our coaches are pretty knowledgeable, so they're pardon me, putting us in a good spot to perform well.
So, how many other quarterbacks are there within the Australian women's squad?
So to the camp, they invited 24 women. There was two quarterbacks. Um, so yeah, that was obviously interesting, competition wise and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, really good. Obviously, my position is very very unique in that there's obviously only one of us, whereas receivers and defensive players is kind of a bit more, I guess, hybrid. There's more positions available. So, yeah, always exciting, just competing for that spot, absolutely.
Do you know how fast the other quarterback threw?
I'm not sure. I do know the men's quarterback. I think he was at about
It's not
79
a lot. It's not a
kilometers
lot
an hour.
more.
So, and I was at 70.3. So, I guess that's a pretty good comparison for me. Yeah.
And that's
Well,
throwing a football too, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's throwing a football. We just I think they had the speed gun out, and we just threw it into a net. So yeah.
And it gives you a bit of a swagger walking around now. You're like, yep, 70 kilometre an hour cannon here.
You need a t-shirt and an
No,
arm.
like,
Yeah.
well, it was good. Even I guess the strength and conditioning coach, he was kind of watching it, and he said, we'll put a program together, so you can be throwing, faster and stronger. And I think my receivers were probably not too keen for that, but just for their hands. But I'm obviously always looking to improve. And as long as I'm throwing the ball well, that's my main job, I guess.
The snap was something I wanted to ask you about. We're watching some of the footage that you sent a link through for last year's Oceania Champs, and I noticed when you're playing the
Yep.
Japanese team, the person snapping the ball doesn't have to throw it directly back to the quarterback. They were throwing it sideways to the player right next to them. That interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of flag football, is just how creative you can be with all different types of plays. Yeah, so yeah, you can snap it sideways, and then that person can then pop it back to the quarterback, which means that I actually get more time. I'm not, I guess, dictated to by the 7 seconds I have to get rid of the football. So yeah, you can kind of do a whole bunch of sort of trickery to, get a play away and give yourself more time. Which it's definitely one of the things that I really enjoy about flag football, just the creativity that you can put into a playbook. We're lucky enough in Queensland, and she's also been selected in the Australian team. One of my teammates, Cody, she plays receiver, but she can also throw a ball pretty well as well. So we have plays that there's double quarterback stuff. So just really exciting and fun to see that.
Now you're building towards the world champs for this year, and they're held in Finland. Is that what you're saying before?
Yeah, that's correct. So World Championships will be in Finland in late August, which is super exciting. Obviously, this will be the first time that Australia's sent a team to a World Championship. Last year in Malaysia was our first international tournament. So this will be really exciting, I guess, to see where we're sitting. The women's team is currently sitting 10th in the world in the rankings. So I guess just it'd be really interesting to see where we sit, and hopefully we can compete. I guess with the big guns of the sport like Mexico and the US.
So you said 24 women went into camp. How many get picked to go to Finland?
Yeah, so the final team is 12 ladies. Yeah, so it's a pretty cutthroat sport in that obviously there's not a lot of positions, on that team. It's quite a small team, in terms of when you're playing contact, there might be 50 or 60, players on a team. So obviously, it's highly competitive. And for me, even age is just a number for me. So until someone, I guess really takes my spot from me in the national team, I'm gonna fight for it, and hopefully always prove that I'm the best person for the job.
So with coming into this tournament, obviously the big goal for you is to make the Olympics. So what are you hoping there that you gain from this tournament to take you into future tournaments?
I guess we just, for me personally, it's, I guess just seeing where we compare, to the world class teams. We're obviously a bit of an unknown. We've only had one international tournament, so we're like I said, we're not really quite sure where we stand. I'm pretty sure Japan at the moment is ranked number 3 in the world, and obviously we played them in Malaysia. And, in the gold medal match, and we held it with them. So obviously, they I think they beat us by a couple of scores. So from that point of view. But obviously, there's teams from Great Britain and Germany and France and all of those. So it'd be very interesting, I guess, just to see where we sit there.
We spoke previously about the publicity that flag football is getting with the Olympics. Have there sort of been any new people entering the sport now in preparation for that, or is that still likely to be, a few years away before people start looking at that as an option?
Like here in Queensland, we probably haven't. Definitely in the social competitions and stuff, we've obviously seen a bigger intake of females, taking to the sport, from all different, backgrounds and all of that sort of stuff. At the representative level, we probably haven't really seen that just yet. So I guess, that'll be very interesting to see over the next couple of years, whether that changes or, I'm not too sure. But at this stage, it's kind of been existing athletes, still competing for those spots. So, definitely be interesting to see how that moves going forward.
And I had an odd question for you as well, Casey. Did you find when you go from playing flag football to playing normal football, do you find there that your reactions and everything are a bit quicker from playing with less time in flag football? Or do you find there it's about the same?
Yeah, it's interesting. I found last year I played some contact football down in Sydney, and actually found myself getting into some bad habits, I guess, from flag. I guess not realizing, that I do have my O-line there and they are there to protect me. So, for me, I was trying to rush and get the ball out when, all I needed to do was just take my drop and, read and go from there. So, yeah, it can, I guess, take a little bit of adjustment, between the two sports. Yeah, so but, a few plays I kind of went, "Oh, yeah, get yourself you're playing contact football here." So, yeah, I mean, obviously the basics of it are all the same, but there's definitely, certain things, with each of the sports that that are just for that one game. So, yeah, you just gotta kinda switch on and just, remember which sport you're playing and go from there.
Something you mentioned earlier, and we actually saw it in watching some of those other games online. You mentioned the 7 seconds. So you've got 7 seconds from the snap to get rid of the ball. What happens if you've still got it after 7 seconds?
So I believe that will be a loss of down. I think, yeah. Again, I'm not sure. It hasn't happened to me yet, so I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, still kind of learning the rules of the game. But often it doesn't get to that 7 second stage because, like I said, you've got that blitzer coming at you in about 3 seconds. So you're kind of having to make a choice before then, unless, like I said, you're prolonging the play. So yeah, yeah, very interesting.
Because your receivers are barely in position by the time the blitz is coming at you. And what if are you allowed to run, or do you have to stand and pass for the 7 seconds? Like, if say if you're extremely agile, could you catch it as a quarterback and step everyone and score, or would that be loss of down because you've used more than 7 seconds?
Yeah, so as a quarterback, I can't run the
Ah,
game. It's, kind of like we said before, if we snap, sideways or, we do a double pass or something like that, I can then go and receive the ball um, and stuff like that. But yeah, as a quarterback, I can't go over the line of scrimmage in this game. So, I can't, take them all on and, dance my way down the field in that regard. But yeah, definitely, I think there was a couple of plays in nationals where we had a bit of a double quarterback movement, and I, got out there and had a couple of receptions and stuff like that. So, for me, that's the beauty and the joy of this sport. Like I said, the creativity and just having a little bit of fun with it. And yeah, I mean, as much as I love being a quarterback and you know pretty much getting my hands on the football, every snap, it is nice to get out there and do something different.
awesome.
And do you have a favorite trick play, or not
Um,
really not
on
revealing it?
I mean, like for our Queensland team, everyone would have seen it, from film of the game. So I'm not sort of telling any secrets. But yeah, there was a couple. I guess that we would, there was a play that we had that I would hand it off to Cody, my receiver, um, and yeah, she would either she can then run it or she would pass it. There was a couple that she passed back to me, which was much appreciated. And then we had a similar play where it was designed to look exactly the same, but the ball sort of stayed with me. So it was kind of banking on the fact that the defense would think that we were doing I guess the exact same play, and then hopefully trick them into making the wrong decisions. So yeah, stuff like that is yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I've got one more question, and that is: are you allowed multiple passes? Like, watched in some of the footage where it'll go to one of the receivers, then back to the quarterback. Can you actually pass it around between yourselves? Or is there a limit?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it just has to be backwards. Is sort of the only thing. So yeah, again, obviously, you really don't get too much time to do too much more than sort of like one sort of double pass kind of thing before the defense are pretty much in your face. So yeah, but definitely, yeah, a lot of fun in doing that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's obviously with social media these days and stuff, obviously we have a lot of access to different film and videos of games and stuff like that. So we're always forever sending little videos to our teammates, kind of oh can we add this into the playbook and this and that. So yeah, we're very lucky, I guess, that we have access to a lot of stuff, and there's some very creative people out there that come up with things that I have no chance of coming up with. So you kind of you see something, and you might put your own spin on it, and do that. But yeah, yeah, it's good fun.
Are your coaches pretty open to suggestions from the team?
Yeah, definitely. If obviously if it works, they're more than happy. I guess at least to see it in the first instance, and if they like it, they might, like I said, make their own tweaks to it.
Thank you for joining us today, Casey. I thoroughly wish you all the best in the upcoming tournaments and bringing home that gold medal for your country.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. Like I said, always happy to talk to you, and hopefully, catch up around tournament time, and we can give you a bit more of an update on how things are going.
Woohoo!